Hi. I don't know how to follow that. But thank you, Dr. for starting us off. Hi everybody, I'm Deirdre. First of all, I want to congratulate the program, Charlie, and all my colleagues who are involved with this program for Ateneo. This feels pretty tender for me because before I was a poet, I was a lit major, and I actually still think like that. I was a product of the department, and I think that's why I'm pretty nervous right now because Mamaya was my thesis advisor, and my papa was my thesis reader, so every time I see their names, feeling ko magde-defend ako ng thesis. So, I'm so happy that this program exists now, and thank you for inviting me to read poems in this event. It feels pretty surreal that after years after graduating, like this is happening, and I'm here as a poet primarily. So when I got the brief for this event, like Dr. Jen said, we were asked to respond to The Future is Present as an exhibit, one of the artworks of it at least, and then kind of pick something that we wrote or a new piece that we had written that speaks to one of the artworks in the exhibit. So I read the article that Luisa sent me, and the first thing that caught my eye from the published article on the website was the fact that instead of a ribbon cutting, there was a vine garland. I thought that was like a very unique and also poetic gesture to open this space for generativity, but also what moved me about the title of the exhibit is that it's called The Future is Present, and based on the elements included in the artwork, in that vine garland, it kind of makes it so that looking at the future is inevitably also about looking at the ecological kind of angle of that. And I don't consider myself an eco-poet by any means or any stretch of the imagination, but I do love writing about things that just so happen to be part of like ecological issues. I've been obsessed with writing about urban flooding for the last 5 to 10 years. It used to be Jessica Hagedorn, now it's urban flooding. So that was my journey as a theoretical, a critical writer and a poet. That said, the first artwork that actually caught my attention was Eternal Garden, just because of how well it fit the title of the event and just the general feel of that opening ceremony. But I too, much like Dr. was very interested in Zora Santoya's diptych, and if I can call it that, but this pair of paintings that just depicted a stretch of water. I believe that the one inside this room is called Pacifico. And this one, A Sea of Fire. And I loved how these paintings just simulated the experience of how being in the middle of that vast stretch of water can both be calm but chaotic at the same time, how that kind of exposes how inflexible you are as a human to kind of adapt to that environment. I love how discombobulating that feeling was, and I am also kind of obsessed with the idea of getting that defamiliarization or that feeling of being defamiliarized from your environment, and imagining how that would feel, especially in a place that you used to trust to be land, if that makes sense. And that to me is exactly what urban flooding feels like. I'm from Marikina. I think a lot of you are, or like a lot of people from the Ateneo are. And so I think flooding is a very relatable experience, an inevitable experience also, and I wanted to respond to Joris and Kuya's Pacifico, which is a painting of the sea, with my experience of an imagined sea that occurs in a city. So I will read you a poem I wrote a few years ago called Luli. I get asked about why I titled it Luli a lot. Luli is a term used for many islands in the Philippines. It's an abbreviation for Lulubog Lulibang. Yes, for... Sorry. Yes, there's one in Palawan, there's one in Bohol, there's one like in all of the island hopping trips that you go to. It's basically, they nickname islands that kind of appear and disappear depending on the time. And that's what I named this poem after. So this is Luli. Once far from my city there was an island, and then there wasn't, and then there was an island. This morning, my house was in the city, and then I lost it. From the bridge, I could see the edge of a river, and then I couldn't. And every dog was barking outside until they just burned. Between there and not, I was rowing a boat to the island that is and isn't looking for dolphins. But wild animals know better than to stay around the morning after a storm. All the time, water stretched around me. I remember thinking, the sun is unbelievable, and soon this island will be. I dug an oar into water and hoped for sand, for mud, for the new edge of a new river. I passed the island because it wasn't, and I passed my house. Every wild animal passed me, dolphins and barking dogs, and one carabao after another. After that, unidentified clutter. Once, I had a future. Today I have an oar, and in my mind, an island. I don't know the difference between high tide and low, only now and after. I keep waiting for my house, far from the lost edge of a river that is and isn't. In my mind, my city loses one house after another, which means I'm almost not alone, flung so far into the water that all the time stretches around me. From my boat, there is an island, and I am close to it. Waiting near the edge of the world, I am close to it. That's really... That was really, which was a response to Pacifico. I was going to read something. Luli was written in a collection that was, again, all about urban flooding. It was called The Last Things You Will Save, and the concept of it was all the poems were embedded in like little things that you would not save in a flood, that the collection tried to recreate. I was going to read another poem that was very much in the vein of Luli, but let's go for some comic relief na lang kasi that was a little more intense than I thought I would feel after reading that. I don't read my poems out loud usually, so I'm sorry that I'm nervous. This is new to me. So instead, I'll read you another poem, still about urban flooding. It's still about like being on the roof looking at your street, like flooding over, turning into like a sea. But I think what I also attempted to do here is to highlight how absurd that situation is, and how comical it could be if you're looking at it from a distance. So same point of view, but hopefully more comic relief this time. This poem is about Jericho Rosales, who is like a favorite son of Marikina City. So just for a little bit of context, if you're Mariqueño, I'm not sure if any of you are in this room, but there's like this urban legend in Marikina that every time there's a flood, on like a speedboat. Like the rumor is that in LGB he has like a speedboat in his garage, and then he uses it to save people when there is urban flooding. And so this is a poem about that. It's called Mr. Poggy 1996. It opens with an epigraph from Jericho Rosales. This is his opening line from being Mr. Poggy 1996. Ito na po si Jericho Rosales, ang Mr. Poggy at proud son ng Marikina. Ito na po ang Judgment Day. Kaya sit back, relax, and fasten your seatbelts. Although you didn't ask, the weather remains torrential with the slightest chance of one matinee idol jet skiing straight into my door. He may or may not whisk me away to higher ground and out of my life, but only if, despite the insoluble divide, despite ugly houses, ugly or wet, despite the gated curfew and its precious metals that now protect him, despite my material asymmetry and the soft borders of this municipality, Jericho primetime hero Rosales finally echoes back to the unpruned side of the river, and by the dumbest luck, offers his single prodigal seat exactly to a girl like me. There will be no space for my dog or my post-nuclear family, so only if I cross that disappearing bridge too. Only if our 1,000 neighbors divined it right. Meanwhile, our street is a riptide, and yes, the Wi-Fi in this insta-apocalypse is still very good. We've made it with the fried rice and the hot dogs to the roof, and so did you too, where Jericho finds us in 4K, delirium between the top 10 things to do in a disaster, he and his fast-acting Advil and cans of tuna and powdered milk, which must be how the future tastes like. Come on, Jericho. I know the place where you used to cut your hair. You riverman, you golden son of our subdivision dreams. Cross the stream. Put the painkillers in my real hand. This is your last chance. That's it. Thank you, everybody.